a request for a full body strength video for EDS hypermobility with a resistance band. So we're gonna play with a resistance band today. This is really designed to be an all levels class, but I am going to caveat that, as always, by saying if something in this class isn't feeling good to you, if it's causing pain or discomfort, and like not the challenge yourself kind of pain or discomfort, as always, just like put the exercise to the side. It might not be your exercise today, and that's okay. We want to focus on this class feeling healthy, strong, not like walking away feeling worse for the sake of getting strong. So make sure you guys are always checking back in with your body. As has been kind of my tradition in these latest set of videos I've been posting, it is going to be an I teach, you do kind of day. Actually, full disclosure, this is my second time trying to record this video because the first time I was doing it, I was like, all right, let me try and teach the whole class while I cue and talk and focus on what my body's doing. And I was just not liking it. So we're back for round 2. And we are gonna start. You guys can find yourself some space on a mat, on the floor. If you don't have a mat, you can lay down on the carpet, that's fine too. We're gonna start seated. I'll come crisscross, just as if I was on the mat. And we're gonna start getting a little bit into the shoulders. Now, I'm gonna encourage you guys, if you guys are feeling like tight or sticky, this isn't gonna be a very long strength workout, so you guys can absolutely couple it with another one of my daily practice videos. I'll link them. The daily practice for neck and shoulders, daily practice for hips and feet can be really, really good warm-ups and kind of activation series, as I like to call them, for these kinds of more functional strengthening workouts. So, if you're feeling sticky anywhere, maybe check out one of those other videos first. But otherwise, let's dive on in, shall we? So I'm using kind of a light resistance band. For me, this just is what feels good for my shoulders. If you want to find something a little bit more challenging, that's cool. But you're going to find a seated position. You can absolutely sit in a chair if that's more comfortable for you. And just let's take a breath. I want you to take a big inhale through the nose. And exhale. We're gonna cycle through about 4 more of those. As you guys inhale, inhale to your upper back, not your chest, all right? I know, a weird cue. Inhale to the upper back. And then exhale and let everything kind of sink. And then inhale to your mid-back, the back of the rib cage. And exhale, let everything sink. And as you cycle through this, try to continue to think about the breath going into your back. And as you exhale, just let everything kind of soften. Check in with the jaw, check in with the shoulders. Maybe one more breath, a nice big breath into your back space between the shoulder blades. That feels good. Exhale, let it go. All right, so this first movement we're gonna do, it's kind of a classic one. It's a little external rotation for the shoulders. So the 2 ways you can hold the band, we're gonna do palms up and you can just grip it. If that's not feeling good for your hypermobile fingers and wrists, loop your palms in. Pro tip for you. It just tends to be a lot easier on the hands and wrists, I find, and it keeps them from getting all wobbly. Shoulders are gonna drop down. Elbows are gonna start connected in towards the ribs. Now I'll turn a little bit here, just so you guys can see my elbows are not behind me, and they're not in front of me. They're just settling down next to the rib cage. Palms are gonna face up. Poke your thumbs out, like you're doing a thumbs up, but sideways. And on your exhale, you're just gonna think about sending your thumbs away from each other. Slightly different cue than probably what you normally hear. Forget the cue of like rotate your shoulders out, because it doesn't tend to work super well. Think about sending your thumbs away from each other. And then slowly bringing them back in. And send your thumbs away from each other. And you'll notice that my elbows aren't really doing a lot of movement here, so be careful about shooting the elbows around to make this movement happen. I'll face you guys again. You guys cycle through like 8 to 10 of these just to warm up the shoulders. And as the thumbs glide away from each other, you let the collarbones just drop open. And as you cycle through, you guys keep going, I want you to think about like almost just pinching the back of your shoulder, or excuse me, the back of your shoulder, not shoulder blades, all right? We're not doing that thing where you squeeze your shoulder blades together, all right? Like almost think about your back getting a little bit wider. It's a weird one. Maybe finish off 2 more. Sometimes it can be a little tricky to disconnect from the bicep, and that's why I'm talking about like pulling the backs of like the armpits in towards each other. Once you finish off your last one, you can go ahead and relax. We're gonna go flat down on your back, on your mat, and we're gonna add on a movement here. All right, you are totally welcome to get yourself a pillow or whatever feels good to you. You're gonna take a slightly wider grip on the bands now. I'm gonna loop my hands in again because I think it just feels good for me. You're gonna find yourself in just like a comfortable position on the mat. I typically like to keep my feet planted here. You're gonna glide your shoulders down into their sockets. If you've done the zombie arm series with me, you know what I'm talking about. On your exhale, I want you to softly start pulling your arms away from each other. Keep a very soft little bend in the elbows. And then go ahead, slowly lift them back up again. Now, you guys may notice my first repetition was definitely not all the way out to the side. And that's because I couldn't do that without puffing my chest up. All right, so I want you guys to do your best to keep the back of your rib cage heavy on the floor as you let the arms pull out. I gave this cue in a video I recorded like a year ago, and some people just responded really well. The cue is, as you pull away, think about making your back wider, all right? Don't think about pinching the shoulder blades. Think about creating like a little bit of space. And exhale. And maybe cycle through like, 3 or 4 more of these and just kind of see how they feel. Making sure we're not getting up and nice and disconnected from our shoulders. Shoulders are going to stay with a lot of space, and these can start as really small movements, guys. There's nothing wrong with a small movement. Maybe finish off your last one, and then let's go ahead and settle down. Just see where your shoulders are feeling. I'm feeling pretty good here today. And I'm gonna have you guys take the long band. You're gonna wrap it around the backs of your thighs. You're gonna crisscross it so you have like a little bit of tension around the band. You could also just tie it, but honestly, we're gonna use it again in a second, so I don't wanna have to deal with tying a knot. Loop your hands in if that feels good to you, and then just let your hands rest wherever they're gonna fall naturally, holding on to the band. So your feet are in a nice parallel, knees are in a nice parallel. Think about your feet being heavy on the mat. On your exhale, you're gonna dig the feet into the floor to start floating your hips up, 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 and away. As you cycle through this movement, I want you guys to feel your ribs be heavy as you start to come down to the floor. Feel your spine be heavy as everything starts to land. Feel your hip bones be heavy. Be careful that you're not keeping them in that little tuck. Let them go, let them go, let them go. It's almost gonna feel like your lower back is arching. Just let it go, it's cool. And then go ahead and repeat. Just dig the feet down. And the band is here really for no other reason than just to give your legs some feedback of where they are in space. And that's cool. We don't need the band to always be doing tons and tons of stuff. Melt yourself down, keep the feet connected. I'm gonna encourage you guys, check in with your feet as you cycle through like 5 more of these. Are you tracking to the outside line of your feet? Are you collapsing to the inside line of your feet? Or can you feel the entire edge of your foot, from the outside to the back, to the front, to the inside. I tend to track a little bit towards the outside of my feet with these, to be honest, so I'm trying to be really honest about keeping my big toes down. And just cycle through, feeling once again that heaviness in the rib cage. A lot of hypermobile babes, bendy babes, we like to do that. We like to puff the ribs up to the sky. That is not going to be super helpful long term. So just be conscious of, even if your movement isn't going as high up, doesn't matter. All right, bigger is not always better. I can't say that enough. Exhale. Ooh, these are one of those movements that just feel so good. And if it does not feel super good to you, then maybe this is not your movement today, and that is totally cool. Now, I went through a period where bridges were just like not feeling good for me at all. So I just like chilled on them for a little while and did other stuff, and now they feel good again. So let's, if possible, hold your hips up at the top position. Keep your feet pressing down, and now press your knees very slightly out against the band. And then pull them back to parallel, and then soft press out. And back to parallel, and continue to cycle through. Do me a favor, look up at the sky, don't look at me. You don't need to watch me for this. Just hear the cues, press the knees apart. Good, feel the back of the ribs be nice and heavy. And maybe give me one more if that feels okay to you. Let everything sink and melt down, 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 down. Inhale, relax. And go ahead, take a moment. You can unwind the band from the backs of the legs. And go ahead, just place it down by your side for a moment. Hopefully that's feeling pretty good. Hopefully you're just feeling like a little bit more active here. Now, we're gonna go into a little bit of an abdominal series. In order to do this, I'm gonna have you guys set it up by reaching your arms up towards the ceiling. Now, bend the elbows, let your hands cradle kind of like the lower base of your head. And instead of flapping your elbow wings out to the side, I actually want you guys to keep your elbows slightly forward of your face. So create like a little cradle for your head here. You're gonna take an inhale, and on your exhale, I want you to lift your heart off the mat. Look your eyes to your thighs. Press the back of your rib cage down, and then lower back down again. So that's the movement. It's just a little lift of your heart, supporting your head with your hands. But you guys keep going because I'm going to cue you through this one. It's a technical. When you're lifting your head with your hands, careful you're not yanking on your neck, all right? We don't want to turtleneck you. Do your best to keep the shoulders and collarbones open and really lift from your heart. And what that does is it helps activate these upper abdominals, these little muscles that help stabilize the rib cage, rather than just pulling up and yanking through your shoulders and your neck. So make sure as you exhale, heart is lifting. You're creating an actual curve through the upper spine, and it's not just your neck looking at your thighs. All right? Another helpful cue with this, as you cycle through like 4 more, take it slow and think about pressing the backs of your ribs down into the mat. One other thing you'll often see here is people, if you want to pause and watch me real quick, a lot of people will go like this. All right, and you see that little like bump that I did there? That bump isn't helping anything, so I would encourage you guys to just like make it smaller. Don't focus on making a huge movement, focus on making a connected movement to these lovely muscles right here. If you feel good to continue on, hold it at the top, hold it there, keep the shoulders out of the ears, and see if you can lift one leg up without letting your pelvis shift off to the side, all right? Keep the back of the sacrum down as you lower, and then go ahead and switch. Now your goal here, you guys keep going as you alternate, is to keep the pelvis heavy and centered on the mat, and keep the back of the ribs nice and heavy and centered. At any point you can do this and just lower your chest down. You can take a break at any point. Cycle through. I think I've got maybe 2 more in me. Whew. 1 more. And lower everything down. Beautiful job, guys. I'm going to take a little twist because this is a movement that feels nice to me. You guys can take whatever little shifts you need to make to just kind of settle out of that movement. Very, very nice job, guys. Alrighty, roll onto your side. Press yourself up to seated. We're going to come into one last little movement sequence here. On your hands and knees. Now, you are more than welcome to get yourself a pad for underneath the knees. You're welcome to come up onto your fists or use a chair to prop your elbows up. You guys have heard me use that one before. But I'm going to start here. Shoulders are gliding down away from the ears. I want you guys to check in that you're not dropped through the ribs and through the low back. You're going to think about your tail shooting out to the wall or the window or the door, whatever's behind you. For me, it's a window. And all you're going to do here is lift one knee softly up off the mat. You can leave your toe down, you can lift it up, and then you're going to lower. And you're going to switch. And as you cycle through this, I want you to check in that you're not collapsing into the shoulders here. Really try to keep them low, away from your ears. Keep your eyes down on your fingertips, right between your hands. Feel that little hip work, that little bit of core work kicking on. And just kind of make it nice and smooth, all right? Don't worry about getting super grippy and like, really tight. Just kind of smooth and breathe. If it feels good to you, as you shift through this little knee lift, simultaneously, lift your opposite hand. That's definitely a little more challenging. Left hand, right knee, and center. Right knee, left knee, right hand. I really know my lefts and rights. And if this doesn't feel good to you, you can just keep going with one knee at a time. You can go one hand at a time. Hopefully feeling a little bit more connectedness through the center of your body. Breathe in with it. All right, let's just go 2 more together. 1 more together. Come back to your center. And go ahead and relax. All right, guys. I think we are going to call it a day there. I hope you found this session useful. It was just kind of a short little one. This is a really nice sequence that you can add on, like I mentioned in the beginning, to a lot of the daily practice videos. I can't emphasize the importance of strengthening your body enough, but as many of us know, with hypermobility, it's more than just doing functional strengthening. You've got to make sure your joints and your connective tissues are primed to handle that movement. And that's why I will often, before I go into like a more traditional workout, stuff like this, I will take 10 or 15 minutes prior to make sure I have time to just like warm my joints up, to go through a lot of those little micro movements that we have gone through together. So I'm excited to post up another video soon. I've got one that's going to focus actually a little bit more on release work, which is something that's kind of like a weird one, especially when you're hypermobile. But in the meantime, I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you're walking away feeling good, and I will see you all next time.